first of all, comedian Graham Linehan has urged allies of President Trump to take Britain to task on the issue of free speech. He appeared before Congress today. His message was blunt: use every diplomatic lever you have and make it clear that America is watching. Graham said that Britain's so-called free speech is a myth. He claimed that critics of gender ideology and mass migration are silenced and even debanked, and accused ministers of ignoring the historic Supreme Court ruling that defines a woman by biological sex. All of this in efforts to appease the very noisy activists.
For a decade, the British police have harassed me for expressing views that the majority of the public share. In 10 years, not one person, not the police who arrested me, not the colleagues who condemned me, not the friends who turned away, has told any of us what we did wrong. Our accusers do not deal in arguments. No one is able to point to flaws in our analysis. We have simply been punished for objecting to fashionable yet incoherent orthodoxies.
I'm delighted to say that Graham Linehan joins me now in the studio. Looked like a bit of an emotional day and quite stressful. What was it like being in there?
Very surreal. I've gone from absolutely kind of being buried 1,000 feet underground with no platform at all, to appearing in front of the House Judicial Committee. I couldn't quite believe it. Sometimes I get a little bit paranoid that I've actually died, and
this is all a dream. You and me both, because I was cancelled a bit as well in 2020 during the pandemic, and I find myself now in this great job in Washington DC. Yeah. I like to think the karmic wheel has turned in the right direction, Graham.
I hope so.
But why do you think you're in this position now? Why has it turned? My life hasn't been ruined in any way, the same way that yours has been. Just remind our viewers who know your name and they know that you're involved in this area, but how much of a toll has it taken on you? Because you've been fighting this fight for years now.
Yeah, well, you know, I mean, I wrote Father Ted and the IT Crowd and Black Books, and, you know, felt great about being a comedy writer. It was the thing I always wanted to do, and I was very humbled and happy that I had that profession. But I haven't written comedy in about 8 years, and it's because when I started standing up against gender transition surgeries and women losing their safe spaces, not a single friend stood with me to kind of make me a little bit less isolated. And I always used to say, you know, if just one or two of you could just say basic things like, you know, of course women deserve single-sex spaces. Of course women deserve fair sports. Of course children shouldn't be hurt in gender clinics. But none of them were capable of doing it. So I was completely isolated, and trans activists were able to focus on me and just pick me up, pick me off with sniper fire. So every time I tried to do something or tried to work with someone, you know, people would contact the people and say, you know, he's a bigot.
What do you think it was about you that meant you could identify the risk that was being posed to women?
Well, I think what it was I didn't work in an office, so I didn't notice the HR revolution. And the HR revolution was happening, and while I was sitting at home writing and thinking the world was exactly the same, a bunch of HR people came into offices all over the West and said, trans women are women, the surgeries for children are absolutely essential, and so on and so forth. And so I was just a little bit naive. I had no idea how ingrained some of these ideas were. So when I stood up against them, I didn't really realize the forces that I was facing. And
when did you first start talking out against the normalizing of trans surgery and men in women's spaces?
I think it was about 2017, something like that.
So so you're getting on for 10 years really now.
Yeah.
And you're back writing comedy now. Does it feel a bit cathartic today, sitting there? As you say, it felt sort of momentous in some way, your pinch yourself moment.
Yeah.
But does it feel like it's been worth it?
Well, the thing is, I realised I realised a few years ago that there would never be a moment that would make up for what's happened to me. There would never be a moment where people apologized or people admitted that what happened to me was unfair. So I've kind of given up waiting for those kinds of moments. And today, no, it was more a matter of fact.
Yeah.
You know, I was just happy to get there and make that statement. The most important statement to me today was about the fact that the British government are ignoring the Supreme Court ruling, you know, which is such a dangerous thing, because if the government ignores the law, then why should anyone follow it?
So you mean the law that a woman is a biological born
Yes.
female, adult female, and when you say they're ignoring it, do you mean in relation to things like trials of puberty blockers occurring in the NHS still?
No, I mean,
Or that's more related to CAS?
No, yes, that's a different issue. What they're doing is they're ignoring the guidance from the Supreme Court that sex means biological sex. They're just ignoring it. And so we still have women in prison, which I think is the most extraordinary cruelty and sadism, to put women alongside potential rapists and sex offenders in prison. It's just like the Geneva Convention orders that not happen. And this is peacetime, and they're doing it. So it's just an intolerable situation. I find the cruelty of trans activism is unlike anything I've seen in my life leading up to now, you know. Yeah, I mean, the one thing I am glad about is someone once said to me very early on, they said, "What's your end game?" And I said, "I want to destroy trans ideology. That's it. I want to just destroy it. I want to leave this world knowing I was able to fight a kind of great evil, you know." And I know a lot of people are in it for the right reasons. I know a lot of people care about their loved ones who are trans-identified and so on. But unfortunately, the kind of overwhelming impression you get from the activism is just a very male, violent, misogynistic, homophobic movement. And so I'm just glad to be doing.
Let's have a quick look, Graham, at what your final plea was to Congress today and what you want from them. It's very powerful. Here you go.
First, use every diplomatic lever you have to pressure the British government to implement its own Supreme Court ruling. Women just won a landmark case confirming that sex means biological sex. The guidance to enforce it has been written, and the Minister for Women and Equalities has blocked it for months, calling it trans-exclusive. If the British government can ignore its own Supreme Court to appease gender activists, so can yours. Please make it clear that America is watching. Second, put pressure on the Irish government to reopen a conversation it never had. In 2015, while Irish people were celebrating their vote for marriage equality, the Gender Recognition Act was quietly passed. No public consultation, no referendum, no women's rights organisations consulted. The public did not know what they were signing up for. They do now. The consequences are visible across Irish life. Men in women's prisons, men in women's sport, children taught lies in their schools. Ireland is my country of birth. Its women and girls deserve the debate that they were denied. Third, recognise that free speech is not preserved simply by declining to arrest people. People from all walks of life are being silenced by the institutions that licence and employ them. We need new whistleblower protections for the digital age. If government will not defend dissenters from institutional retaliation and mob rule, then what is the First Amendment for? That's not an abstract question. The women who lost their careers, the children who lost their health, the athletes who lost fair competition. They did not have a voice in the decisions that failed them. I am asking you to give them one.
It's really powerful. And I presume as a writer you wrote it yourself. It's pretty obvious. Do you find it easy to put into words now, to crystallise what the issues were? And do you feel that people are understanding it now?
More and more, yeah. And I've had so much practice over the last 10 years of repeating the arguments that I can kind of do them in my sleep. And another reason it's easy is it always reminds me of a David Mamet quote. He said in Glengarry Glen Ross, one of the characters says, always tell the truth, it's easier to remember.
Yeah.
And that's what it's like when you're talking about this issue. If you actually use their framing, which is so incoherent and all over the place, then it's very hard to debate. It's one reason why trans activists try not to get into debates, you know. But when you're telling the truth, it's easy.
Yeah.
It's easy.
Yeah. And so what next, Graham?
Well,
will you ever get the phone call from the BBC to say, do us another sitcom as successful as Father Ted, do you think? And would you take that call?
I don't know. I mean, that's such a, I can't imagine it happening. I mean, at the moment, basically, you know, one of the few people with a name who's shown me any kindness, I'm working for him, Rob Schneider.
Yeah.
And he has been, he's just saved my life in many ways. You know, he's provided a secure place where I can write comedy without feeling that there's going to be a knock on the door any second.
And just to tell people who Rob Schneider is, American movie star, does lots of movies with Ben Stiller, famously, and he was in Home Alone 2, actually.
Was he in 2?
Yeah, I think it was it Home Alone? Yeah, he was in Home Alone 2.
Okay.
That I saw this Christmas and thought, oh, I forgot he used to do that. But he transitioned into being, if you forgive the choice of word, he transitioned into being a very vocal advocate of free speech when Trump was running for election.
Absolutely, and he's
also paid a price.
Well, he's been just for supporting Trump, he's been kind of cast out of Hollywood, you know.
Yeah.
So I want to write something for him so good that they can't do that, you know.
Yeah.
So we'll see. But for the moment, he's provided me with just the safest environment where, for the first time, as I say, in years, I can write comedy and with a kind of a light heart and a sort of playful feel, because like I mean, as I say, I can just do it all off by heart, but I'm kind of sick of it.
Yeah, I bet.
I've always been someone who liked to move on to a new thing and find a new thing, and 10 years of this is the longest I've done on anything, but I don't really have a choice.
No, you don't have a choice. You become defined by it to some extent, and I do wonder if, you reckon.
I'm so sorry.
Don't worry. I do. It's quite new, this studio. Be careful. But I think I hope that today feels like a bit of a line in the sand for you to sit there, have your voice heard in a room of very powerful people.
Yeah. Oh no, it was good, and it was interesting that the Democrats were trying to distract from it as much as they could. I took that as a bit of a compliment.
Yeah.
But it is a nice moment. I have to say though, the big line in the sand, the big moment for me was when I was arrested. Yeah. It was when I was in the cell. I can kind of remember thinking, this is going to be big. It's going to be big when this gets out, and so it was. It was the thing that changed everything. I wouldn't be here today if it wasn't for that. You know. So I've got the police to thank for that, at least.
Yeah.
You know?
Out of bad comes good. Graham, thank you so much. Great to see you.
Yeah.
Graham Linehan there. Now, on the issue of free speech in Britain, Sir Keir Starmer has previously said, free speech is one of the founding values of the United Kingdom. We protect it jealously, fiercely and always will. A Number 10 spokesman has also told GB News the PM was very clear in his meeting with the President that the UK has a proud history of freedom of speech and that will endure. That continues to be our position.